So now we need to sort of bridge the gap between both self-acceptance and self-improvement, right? These two ideas, these two concepts are in some ways interlinked and in some ways opposing. They oppose each other. Self-acceptance is the idea that, sorry, self-acceptance is the idea that I'm enough, okay? I don't need to have $1 million. I don't need to have a nice physical body. I don't need to, have my own place. I'm enough. I could live in a car or live on the street and I'm enough. And there's an extent to which that has a lot of value. That has a shit ton of value, right? Like self-acceptance has a lot of value, but it's crazy how people, again, like I said, you know, take it to its extreme extent, and it becomes sort of like warped, it's like they take it to a vulgar extent, an extent where in which once you get there, it's, as Confucius would say, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, you know, and it becomes a bad thing. I've seen a lot of videos, I've seen a lot of people who just like, oh, I'm fat and I accept myself. And it's like, yeah, that's cool and all, right? There's a level of, yeah, that's respectable, that's cool. But if you're in denial of the need to improve, that's a fault, that's a flaw, and you need to fix that, like now. Because a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, I accept myself, so I don't need to date a lot of girls, I don't need to do all this and that and whatever. And it's like, okay, cool, but you're it just you they rarely become losers, to be honest. Like, if I'm just gonna be straight up, they become losers. They become losers who accept themselves as losers, and you need to refrain from doing that. Part of the self-esteem is, it's like, yeah, it is self-acceptance, but it's also self-improvement. You have to improve. You have to develop yourself. You have to get better. That's why we talk about the root and the tree. Both need to grow, right? It's not just one or the other. Self-acceptance is, again, like the monk, a guy who meditates and is always present and is always here and all that shit, right? But if you put him in front of a girl, or if you put him in like a business situation or whatever, and I'm not saying this is all monks or all people, I'm just using an example, right? But if you put them in a situation where it's outside of their comfort zone, sure, they still carry that self-acceptance, but they're just losers. They're self-accepting losers, in all honesty. And you need to refrain from becoming that. So it's very important to mention that, because a lot of people fall into that trap. They think, okay, now I need to develop my self esteem, so I need to accept myself for the way I am. If you're a wanker, if you're a wanker, dude, I mean, like, sure, maybe there's value in wanking, but if you're a wanker, bro, if you're like a loser, if you're just, it's like, dude, there is a better life for you if you would improve, right? If you would improve, yeah, sure, there's this idea posed by a philosopher where they say the fundamental delusion is there is something outside of me. I'll actually put the quote up because I don't remember it 100%, but it's the fundamental delusion is this: there is something outside of me that will make me happy and content forever. No, the reality is there isn't. All your value, all your contentment, all your happiness comes from within. It comes from that self-accepted version of you. But again, it's like you can do that, but and you can take it to its vulgar extent, where, similar to Diogenes the Cynic as an example, he was someone who absolutely just discarded the ideas of improvement. And his story is very interesting because he was homeless. He would live on the streets, right? And he was this person that everybody, although he would live on the streets, although he was like, you know, nothing in terms of value, he didn't need anything outside of himself in order to feel accepted and or in order to feel good. And ultimately, that's the point. That's like the fundamental idea. The fundamental idea is that you need to reach a state where that is true, that you don't need the money, you don't need the girls, you don't need the validation, you don't need anything outside of yourself. But do not get brain warped by taking this self-acceptance idea to its vulgar extent. Do not get, do not sort of, don't allow yourself to fall into that trap, because it is a trap. It is a trap. And as much as you might want to deny that it's a trap, as much as you might want to be like, oh no, this is how things are supposed to be, no, it's not. I remember there's this I don't know, there was this video of this person who was like fat, and they were arguing with someone else. I think it was Jubilee, fat people versus jacked people or fit people. And this one guy was like very self-accepting. Like he I don't know what his story was, but ultimately he was fat, right? And it's just that it's like, dude, you could have such a much better life if you, one, yes, accepted yourself, but two, also decided to improve. Because you're not perfect just because you accept yourself. You're not, it's not you shouldn't fall under that delusion of perfectionism, as in like, I'm perfect the way I am, I'm perfectly imperfect. And ultimately that's the idea. That's sort of where people go to when they just follow the route of self-acceptance alone, self-acceptance alone, sorry. So don't do that to yourself. Don't fall into that trap. Understand that self-esteem is developed, yes, by accepting yourself, but also by improving yourself. Because if you're a loser, if you're fat and ugly, and then there's nothing you can do to change that, self-acceptance is like a blessing, because you realize that I don't need to be fit, I don't need to be handsome, I don't need to have all this stuff in order for people to like me. I'm fine the way I am, and I am enough. And with that mentality, you you can flourish, right? That mentality is better than being like, oh no, I wish I could be like this whole black pill and red pill nonsense. These people are, I mean, primarily the black pill. I don't know much about red pill and all that shit, but I know that black pill is where people are like, oh shit, I'm not a Giga Chad or a Tyrone, so because I'm not a Tyrone, girls won't like me. Yeah, sorry. Um, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. If you fall into that, if you listen to that advice and you're like, oh, girls won't like me unless I'm a Tyrone or a Chad. Yeah, sure, there's benefits in being a Tyrone or a Chad, but even Tyrone and Chad, right? If they're not accepting of themselves, the girls won't like them. It's so funny. It's so funny. Remember the story I told you where my cousin, um, where I was working at the call center. Sure. I said who it is. Remember that story I told you where I was working at the call center, and there were these guys that, they were not Tyrones, they were not Chads, they were not attractive, right? Yet the girls were all over them, and they were not all over me. And it's because I lacked a fundamental piece of self-acceptance and self-esteem. So it's important to have that. But the problem is when you decide, okay, I accept myself the way I am and I will not improve. That's a problem. That's not good. That's a fault. That's a fault. And there's a particular, I forget who it is, but they said that when we have faults, we should not fear to abandon them. I think it's Confucius, if I'm not mistaken. Don't fear to abandon your faults. Don't fear to abandon your faults. It's okay to have faults. You're learning and you're growing, and that's the idea of self-improvement. You learn and you grow. You don't stay the same. You build yourself into the thing that you want to be. Understanding as well the paradoxical nature that I don't need to be better than I am. But you also understand this idea being I must improve. It's a paradox in itself. And that's why I bring the topic up, because a lot of people are like, oh no, you only need the one. You don't need the other one. But I mean, sure, to some degree, you could say that. Like if you were very self accepting and you went up to a girl and you were chilling, you were laughing, you were doing your own thing, sure, they'd still be attracted to you. I'm not saying they wouldn't, regardless of whether you're Chad or Tyrone, or you're like a fatty or a skinny boy, or or whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, if you just accept yourself, you'll be okay, right? You'll do well. But there's a level of I do accept myself, but I want better for myself in terms of your health, in terms of your wealth, in terms of your connections with others, in terms of your associates, in terms of just the relate like the network. Like you can be, I accept myself and I decided I'm just gonna be one of those guys who lives in his car, goes to the beach, surfs, and gets girls and all that stuff. You could do that and that could work. But ultimately, what I'm saying is that it's better, fundamentally better, to be to have that element in you, as well as the element of I must grow. The tree must grow to reach insurmountable heights. That's important as well. And a lot of people discard its importance. They sort of don't count it as being important, and that's a again a fault, a flaw. It's not good at all in any way whatsoever. So it's important for you to realize that, and the fundamental reality um, is that there is nothing outside of you that can make you happy and content and all of those good things, all of those good emotions, free, happy, and content forever. There's nothing outside of you that can do that. Everything that has the potential to free you is within. But you mustn't use that as an excuse to not develop your external world, to not develop your external self. You still have to fundamentally build that up. It's just you have to build that up. And if you don't do that, you're stealing something beautiful from yourself. You're not allowing yourself to live an amazing life. You're not allowing yourself to truly live. As William Wallace says, all men die, but not all men really live. In order to live, you need to have both ends. You can't just develop one with exclusion or um, yeah, exclusion of the other, or with it's just you can't develop one. You have to have both ends. And it's not easy. Again, like I said in the last one, it's not easy, but it's necessary. So self-acceptance stems from understanding that happiness comes from within. So what you would do essentially is that you would be like, okay, what makes me laugh, right? What makes me giggle? What's funny to me? Am I the kind of guy who likes South Park? Nah, that's ignorant. Or Eric Cartman, the king, or some dumb shit like that, right? Is that me? Is that my humor? Or is it more my humor is outrageous? I say the most crazy things just out left field, out of nowhere, right? That's funny to me. I find that always interesting. I find it makes conversations much better when you just say something left field. At least that's my humor, right? That's what I find interesting and funny. So when talking to a girl, right, or when talking to any human being, that's just my character. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I hope this person likes me. Let me try to be funny and make them laugh. It's not about them, right? The self-accepting nature makes it all about you, whether you see that as selfish or not. It's genuinely all about you. And the better you get at accepting yourself, the more people will sort of appreciate that instead of, I mean, sure, there will be people that hate on you, and that's cool. Oh, I remember, I've had haters, cheese like, anyway. But there'll be people that hate on you. That's cool. But it's not about them. It's about the people that are like, holy shit, this guy's awesome. This guy's, oh, this, what the hell? Who the hell is this guy? Right? because that's what comes from self acceptance. You become that guy who is stunning, right? You become the guy who's special. You become the guy who's just like, dude, this guy is so cool. Everybody wants to be around you or talk to you or engage with you because it's not, I mean, and maybe even it's not that everybody wants to be around you and engage with you and talk to you. Maybe people are just like, oh shit, he seems okay, he seems cool, and they don't disturb you. Maybe that's who you are. Maybe you're more the kind of person who's quiet to himself, doesn't really talk a lot. I am also that, right? I have elements of that in myself for various reasons. But if I want to talk, I'll talk. If I don't want to talk, I won't talk. And I don't feel this incessant need to continue a conversation just because someone else is there. Right? If I remember at the gym, this happens a lot. People will, and I'm not saying this to be like, oh, never talk to me at the gym, right? But it's just that people will come talk to you, and you'll be, in your gym session doing your thing, and sometimes it's cool, right? But sometimes I just want to train. I'm just trying to work out, honestly. I genuinely just want to work out. And these people have these like 17-hour conversations about their dog and their cat and their night out on Saturday and this and that and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, geez, like, right? In my mind, I'm like, wow, holy shit, shut up. Shut up, bro. You've been talking. You have been talking. So yeah, a lot of people are gonna think I'm an asshole now, but that's okay. Again, self-accepting. I don't care. It's not that I need you to like me. It's genuinely I don't need you to like me. And that's okay. Like if you don't like me, that's okay. Not everybody's going to like me, right? And I'm not saying that don't ever talk to me if we're at the gym or some shit. But what I'm saying is that sometimes I'm just trying to work out. So what I'll do is I'll really end the conversation. I've nothing like there's nothing in me that is resistant to ending a conversation. Someone's trying to talk. Oh yeah, yeah, no, okay, yeah. Oh wow, that's cool, bro. Okay, yeah, no, shit. Hey, enjoy your session. Enjoy your session. This guy will be mid story and all that. Oh shit, that's crazy, man. Hey yo, listen, enjoy your session, bro. I gotta work out. And yeah, it's like I don't mind. A lot of people be like, damn, that's rude, or damn, that's harsh, or damn, that's not nice. Cool. What? Am I supposed to sort of at the expense of myself, at the expense of my own satisfaction, at the expense of my own life lived, at the expense of, my own time, am I supposed to make them feel nice at the expense of myself? Make them feel good, make them feel validated, make them feel like, oh wow, shit, this cool story, he's cool, I'm cool, we're friends or some shit. No, I don't need to do that. I don't need, it's like, and I value, like, I don't mind people. I don't mind engaging in conversation at all. But there are some times when I'm just like, bro, have a good day. And similar to when you're talking to a girl, she's being all entitled and all that, and she's like all like standoffish, and she just has that thing. You don't have to, you're not obligated to continue the conversation. You're allowed to be like, have a nice day, and walk away. You're allowed to let her go, essentially. You don't need to follow and follow and win or succeed. You don't need to be validated by external things or external factors. You find validation within yourself. And that validation ultimately is what makes you attractive. The validation from yourself. I remember I never used to be fit, right? And I've said this before. I used to be fat, and then I became skinny, skinny fat, or whatever. And now I'm fit to some degree. But um, I look at myself in the mirror now, and I'm like, holy shit, bro, this is me, right? When you get that feeling, when you're like, oh, when you're walking past, like you're just walking, and you look and you double take on yourself. You're like, who the fuck is that guy? And like, oh shit, that's me. What? Dude, this is me? What the hell? And you look at yourself and you're checking your body out. You're like, holy shit, bro. Man's is jacked. right? That's cool. That's awesome. That sense of like that feeling in itself. I genuinely at one point, I genuinely want everybody to feel that feeling of just holy shit, who the hell is that guy? That's me, right? That shock factor. That just like holy shit, that's me, bro. Holy shit, that's me. I swear, and it's just it's something else, right? So that you don't need the girl to like you. You don't need the girl to, validate you. You don't need the girl to be like, oh, I want to talk to you. Sometimes you'll approach a girl and she'll just be absolutely walled off. And it's a her issue, not a you issue. So you don't need to feel bad about that. And that's where self-acceptance and self-esteem comes from. That's where it plays in. That's the role it plays. It plays the role of you don't need to feel bad about not quote unquote succeeding, right? What people would call success is getting her number or pulling her home or some shit. You don't need to get validation from not succeeding. You can enjoy even a rejection. She'll be like, oh no, blah, blah, blah. Or she'll be on some goofy shit. I remember this one girl. Funny, I approached her twice. So I approached her 1 week. And then like 2 weeks later, I think I go out and I approach her again, not knowing it's her. And she's like, yo, do you do this all the time to everyone or some shit? Because I remember, I think it was you, the person who was like, who approached me like 2 weeks ago or something and was like, oh, this, that, right? And she was very walled off. When I approached her the first time, she was like walled off. And then I approached her this time and she's walled off again. And I'm just like, okay, cool. And I'm like, I look at her and she's like very like, oh, because that's not cool. That's blah, blah, blah. Have a nice day. And I turn and I walk away. You have a good day. I felt no like, oh shit, no wait. I'm like trying to like qualify myself or trying to explain myself. Explain myself to who? Who is you? Like, who are you? I met you now, or I met you then, and I met you now. Like, you have no authority in my life. Genuinely, you're not an authoritative figure. I've lived however many years I've been alive, and I've only known you for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You have no say in how I feel about myself. You cannot change my mood. And that's the level of entitlement you need to have in order to and level of self-acceptance because it's like, dude, I don't need you, right? I know girls are into me. I know if I continue to approach girls who like me, I know that this, that, and the third. I know I'm viewed as attractive to women. Whether or not a guy, it's like, and then there'll be guys that are like, oh, you're not attractive, you're not handsome, you don't have the blah 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 and the facial aesthetics and your face isn't lined up and blah 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 blah. And it's like, dude, I don't care about what you say. I care about what I say. And it's like a lot of people can't realize that, don't see that. It's not about what another person says about you, it's what you say about you. And then on top of what you say about you, you got to improve yourself. You can't just say, oh no, I look good or I feel good, I'm this guy, I'm that, whatever, and then be a slob. There's a balance that needs to exist. And if you don't have that balance, bro, you're fucking around. Put simply, you're fucking around. You gotta develop your roots, grow your roots, and grow the tree, the stem, the branch, whatever, so you can be this great tree that is then able to provide fruit. Again, as we will, you'll grow to understand what I'm saying when I say this. But you need to grow yourself, right? Because ultimately you are like a seed. And as soon as you decide to embark on the journey of developing yourself, you've planted that seed, you've fertilized the soil, and you're taking care of it. You're nurturing yourself. So self-acceptance is part of the nurturing process. The tree doesn't need other trees. It's funny, it's crazy. I think it was it Dostoevsky? I want to play this video. I'll play this video. It's from a YouTube channel I used to follow and love, but their videos, they ended up deleting their videos, a lot of their videos, but this one was just particularly amazing. I'll even link the video at the bottom because I like giving credits to the people who made the things. So I'll play it now.
When you go out into the woods and you look at trees, you see all these different trees, and some of them are bent, and some of them are straight, and some of them are evergreens, and some of them are whatever. And you look at the trees and you allow it. You see why it was this way. You sort of understand that it didn't get enough light, and so it turned that way. And you don't get all emotional about it. You just allow it. You appreciate the tree. The minute you get near humans, you lose all that. And you are constantly saying, you are to this, or I am to this. That judgment mind comes in. And so I practice turning people into trees, which means appreciating them just the way they are.
And he says that when we look at trees, we don't judge them for the way that they bend, the way they twist and they turn, that it grew this way and it grew that way. We don't judge it. We just accept it for what it is, as it is, right? Like, imagine a tree, there's not enough sunlight hitting it from this angle. So it turns like this, right? And then it bends this way. Now the tree is doing this, and then it grows up. So now it's this like very strange motion. But it's not even strange. We don't see it as strange. We look at it as, oh, it's just a tree, right? That chose to bend this way and that way. And in a sense, we as human beings, we judge ourselves all the time, and we judge each other, saying that, oh, you're to this or you're to that. And the idea is ultimately remove that judgment factor. But especially what I want to hammer on is remove it from yourself. I'm to this, I'm to that. Don't judge yourself and sort of feel bad. I mean, sure, there is an element of anger and frustration and annoyance with yourself that helps, that betters you, that grows you. And it's part of that self improvement side where I hate the way I look. I hate the way I am. I'm a fat slob, or I'm a weak, skinny guy. I'm just this, that, the third. And there's something I can do to improve it. But I'm not doing that, or I haven't done that. If that's the case, right? If there is something you can do to improve, improve. But don't improve. I mean, I hated myself for a very long time, right? So I improved with that, self resentment, just wanting to punish myself. So I'd work out like crazy. I'd work out like crazy, and it was a form of punishment. And the idea is that you don't need to do that. You don't need to hate yourself, although that anger helps a lot. And I'm not saying don't be angry. I'd actually say be angry. Be annoyed with your current position. Be annoyed with your current circumstance. That's the fundamental necessity, like of self improvement, where it's a necessity in order to improve yourself, in order for self improvement to work, or for you to actually begin the process. You need to be annoyed with your current position in your own life, and then with that annoyance comes, I need to grow, I need to change, I need to build, not sadness and, oh no, I'll never change, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, what can I do to better myself? If there is something I can do, I must do it. If there's nothing I can do, so be it. Like, for a person who's like 5'5" or some shit, there's nothing you can really do about your height, right? So that mustn't be something that a factor that plays a role in your mind. That's like, oh no, my height, I'm not 7'12" or some shit, so no girl's gonna like me. No, you, if you need to, it's learning how to filter. You have all of these things up here, all of these just your height, your looks, your this, your that, your physique, your blah blah blah, all of this stuff. And then there's like a filtering aspect where it sort of goes like this. This side is self-acceptance, this side is self-improvement. So when it's like this sort of container that does this, right? So if you say, for instance, your height, you have this container. It falls into the container, and you look at it, and you're like, okay, do we self-accept or do we self-improve? And you need to be realistic. You need to be 100% honest. You need to be like, okay, height, you can't improve, so you self-accept. Okay, looks, you can improve to some degree, but primarily self-accept, right? You do what you can do when it comes to improving, but ultimately you self-accept. When it comes to your physique, okay, I can improve my physique. So self-improve. Not, oh, I'm fat and I'm okay with that. What? What? No. So it's just a matter of realizing which of the two sides each particular topic or each particular item is going to fall into, whether it's self acceptance or self improvement. But yeah.